Now, the Melbourne Cup. All right. There's two things going on here that with the Melbourne Cup. Obviously, the fact is this. It's the Melbourne Cup, guys. All right. Everyone that wants to have an opinion and all that about who, why, when, I try to stay away from that. All right. I did do a lot of work on this race. I probably spent about an hour and a half, close to 2 hours on the race. The reason why I spent that much time on the race, I am concerned about a few runners. I'm concerned about the one, okay, because I've only got one rated. This number one to me is an unrated, is pretty much an unknown to me. Its last run was decent, all right, but it wasn't decent enough to have it. But that doesn't mean anything, all right. It means to me that it's just its first Australian run, and it did what it did in that Cox Plate, and I am concerned about it. So that's why I did a lot of work on it, and I've done a lot of work on this number 21. Now it's got super times in, it's a baby still. All right. The only thing that concerns me about the 21 is the fact that it hasn't started in Australia, which would be everyone's concern. All right. But I did do a lot of work on its times overseas. Now, it's hard for me to do work on times overseas because of the tracks. The tracks are completely different to our tracks over here. All right. This track today is going to be on fire. All right. I can tell you that now. This track's going to be as fast as... Put it this way. If we were scaling it from 0 to 10, all right, and 0 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, I'd make this track today an 8.5, which is as fast as it can be. Obviously, it's the Melbourne Cup day, and they're always going to prepare the tracks like that. Unless there's no rain coming, unless there hasn't been any rain in the last 24 hours or 48 hours, then this track's going to be playing fast. I don't know if this horse is going to be able to come out, and that's anyone's guess. But off its European form, all right, it ticks all the right boxes. It ticks everything that you want it to tick. It's lightly rated, weighted, which I don't talk in weights that often, but in the Melbourne Cup you have to. All right, it's carrying 52 kilos. I don't have any data on it. I can't have any data on it, but it is a concern. And then obviously we've got the 9. All right, I've got no form on the 9 whatsoever. Now again, I've done some work on it. It's a typical European stayer. All right, so it's one of those horses where it could come out and do things because I don't have any data. I would dare say this thing is going to run a race. Okay. It's going to run a race. It's got nice form in the UK, so we just need to be careful. Now, the local champ, well, this thing's not a local, all right? If I was looking at raw data and if I was looking at the numbers, this thing is pretty much unbeatable. But, okay, it's all about whether or not this thing can run the distance, all right? Now, the numbers are saying tick, 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 okay? It's going to be very hard for this thing to come out and, Cox Plate to a Melbourne Cup. It's happened so many times and so many horses have failed. But I run with the numbers. Again, I'm not trying to confuse everybody. I just all I see is numbers, all right? And everything else that I say will just be an opinion, all right? What I run with is my numbers. And the numbers are telling me that this horse is the horse to beat, number 5. The query is, and this is where my opinion comes in, is this thing going to be able to run the trip? I don't know. Okay? That's obviously the $1 million question. I just run with whatever I see. All right? If this thing can run to the trip, I can tell you there now it's going to be hard to beat, exceptionally hard to beat, because I've got this thing running at 16s. Now, to put it wherever I can understand what that means, all right, most of these other horses are running at 17s and 18s, all right, and some of them are running in their 20s. So this thing, apparently according to the data, it's got 4 or 5 lengths on them. If it runs to the distance and runs to its figure, and you'll often see me write that on my notes when I see a favourite. I'll say this thing's got 6 lengths. Well, this is the horse that's got 6 lengths on him. All right, but I'll always say if it runs to figure. So that means if it runs to its distance or whatever, all that sort of stuff. All right, number 7, I give it a big hope. a really, really big chance. This thing's running in the mid 17s. You know, that's decent for a Melbourne Cup. Put it this way, my last Melbourne Cup winner is, I haven't had a bet since Prince of Penzance. That was my last Melbourne Cup winner, because that's when all the locals were still there. The reason why I haven't bet in the last 3 or 4 Melbourne Cups is because I don't have information on all the imports. So unfortunately, I've just had to sit it out. But this race here, there's only 2 runners I don't have data on, which is why I'm betting in the race. Okay, Prince of Penzance, when it won, this thing had the same figure as it. Okay, so if we were doing a comparison, right now, Very Elegant and Prince of Penzance they're 2 different horses, but they're the sort of numbers that I was looking at when I did the race for, and that was my last winner there. So this is for me is a big hope off its numbers. Number 12 as well. This thing here is a big chance. Okay, again, Jamie Carr's on this runner. This thing was running in mid 17s as well, so it's got a big chance of winning. It's ready. It's had the right prep. I think this horse is going to be one of the top chances. There's a surprise in here. Is this Russian Camelot? Forget about its run in the Cox Plate. I think this thing is ready and primed to run a big race in the Cup. All right, the numbers are telling me so, and that's why it's on the sheet. All right, and then you got the 18. The 18, I think, can also. It was a big win on the weekend. I said it beat us on the weekend. I didn't have any figures on it. I had it as a sub runner. All right, because one of its runs that I did have on it, all right, was huge. So there's also another horse here that I don't mind as well, as this number 23, this Miami Bound, and also number 24. I've got it down here as well. This per San. But I haven't got Miami Bound down on the sheet. I wanted like 50 to 1 for this thing. I don't think we're going to get 50 to 1. And that's the thing with the Melbourne Cup. 10 years ago, these horses were 70, 80 to 1. These are just poor prices. Like this horse here should be 60 to 1. They've backed it, but still, at the moment, I think it's a poor price. So, I've got it rated at 20 to 1, but sometimes forget about that. All right, it's just for me, it's more about the what I would put on it, and I think putting 0.25 on it at that price is fine. So again, with the Cup, it's the Melbourne Cup, guys. Where everyone's an expert on the Melbourne Cup and why horses should win. I'm different. I got a different approach to everybody else. I ignore the noise. I ignore all the talk around the Melbourne Cup, and I just follow my numbers. That's all I do. Okay, I'm not trying to talk everybody into why, how come. My numbers are telling me these are the horses that can win the race. Again, the query is obviously the 21 and the 9, no information on them. All right, so that's with the Cup. What I like to do is I like to take 2 or 3 runners, and then I like to box, do a trifecta. It's the only race that I do trifectas and first fours. That's it.